Part 74. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 735. In order to stay popular, Tao Ran also answered a phone call during the period. The caller was Cheng Cheng, the fresh meat flow that the company was promoting recently and that Sister Chen was leading recently. This is the deal she made with the company after she exposed herself today. The company hopes that she can take care of a group of children and give them as many as they want. Tao Ran was originally a person who was afraid of trouble. The reason why he agreed to the company was that he could use Cheng Cheng's social attributes to help him waste some time. She is waiting for news from Xiaodong below. It is indeed a bit difficult for her to continue talking nonsense in front of the camera without a real theme. After Cheng Cheng talked nonsense for 3 minutes, Tao Ran's phone finally vibrated. Xiaodong's text message, S. Here is start, meaning to start. Great, the plan begins. A minute later, there was a faint noise. Down below, it's noisy. Tao Ran turned the camera in the direction of the rapeseed field, and then she zoomed in, and zoomed in again. I saw 200 to 300 people mingling together below, shouting, tugging and tugging. Tao Ran murmured, "It seems something happened." The host asked her, "Isn't this filming?" "No. Our play is over." "What do they seem to be arguing about?" "And these are local villagers, how can they act? They are group actors, and they are just responsible for running in the rape field. Something is wrong. Something must have happened down there. Can it?" The noise carried echoes, and even the people in the live broadcast room could feel the excitement of the scene. Tao Ran kept his camera pointed downwards. Then, I saw someone starting a fight in the rapeseed field below. "It's a real fight? You punch me and I kick you in a fight?" 10 seconds later, the fight changed from 2 people to 2 groups. 30 seconds later, several groups of people appeared to fight. What happened? The camera panned wildly, and everyone saw Tao Ran looking panicked and busy making a phone call. But the phone never got through. Seeing her anxiety, the host and netizens advised her not to worry. "How can I not be anxious? Something really happened. Otherwise, why wouldn't the director and the others answer my calls? We are only more than 30 people, but there are nearly 200 villagers. If anything happens, I will only suffer a loss." Tao Ran's acting skills are not only in her face and body, but also in her voice and lines. Her trembling voice was filled with fear, which made the netizens in the live broadcast room a little anxious when they saw the fight on the screen. "Oh my God! Those people are definitely not filming. How can you not shout Ka when filming? No one is behind the camera? Look at those people, they were really punching and kicking. Moreover, why did it become a melee? Why are there more and more people fighting? It's hard to tell who is who, it's just all kinds of people fighting together. In the air, you can clearly hear the screams, curses, and shouts of the people fighting, and these sounds are being transmitted to all corners of the country through the live broadcast room." There was even more uproar in the live broadcast room. Who would have thought that watching a live broadcast, you can see real people fighting? Or a group fight? This is so exciting. And the noise that came from them allowed many people to completely determine Tao Ran's location through dialect, just as they had guessed before, it was near a certain city and a certain township. The host was also dumbfounded and quickly calmed down Tao Ran, saying that if she couldn't contact the crew in a few minutes, they would call the police for her. Pressing on the location shown in the barrage, the host asked her if the crew was there. Tao Ran said After almost a minute, I saw that the conflict below finally stopped. The crew stepped forward to mediate. Tao Ran was explaining, "Our director went up, and he should be trying to persuade us. Those are our finances, what is she holding in her hand? What are those villagers dancing? How come they are showing their teeth and claws at our crew? No, the director is not persuading them, but reasoning with them. Why are the villagers still surrounding me? But everyone was fine the past few days. Our crew saw that the conditions in their village were not good and life was difficult, so they have been doing good deeds and helping the poor. How did they? Before Chaoran could finish his words, he saw on camera that the fight started again. The one who was beaten was the village chief. Oh. Director. Why was the director beaten? What happened to them? The crew, our crew was beaten. In the live broadcast, a mess of people was fighting in a ball. Chaoran's extremely frightened voice came out, and the barrage was filled with all kinds of surprises. I'll wipe it. I go. Nima. The villagers beat the crew. There are so many villagers, the crew will suffer. I really need to call the police now. Has anyone called the police? Didn't someone just say that it was that man? Where did he die? Call the police immediately. The various online editors, reporters, journalists, and bloggers in the live broadcast room are already busy. Some are busy recording screens mixed with Chaoran's voice, adding various exaggerated explanations, and sending them to short video websites. Some have begun to write articles and post them on public accounts, some have already started to catch the popularity on Weibo. On the internet, videos of fights became popular, and entries about Chaoran's crew were beaten began to appear on hot searches. The host of the live broadcast room was very anxious and was asking Chaoran if he wanted to call the police and asked her for a more specific address. Chaoran was obviously frightened. She was still calling the director and others. After being called out by the host several times, she came to her senses and told her, "It's a village. Village XX. Well, call the police for me. Hurry up. Thank you, please help." When she said this, local netizens immediately helped call the police, and other netizens were also busy posting on local official and police Weibo. There is strength in numbers. The more people call the police will come faster and the incidents will be more serious. Efficient disposal, right? Things are getting bigger. But obviously, the villagers who are busy fighting at this moment do not know that they are about to become celebrities. Half a minute later, when Chaoran called the makeup artist, the call finally came through. Then, a young lady cried out on the speaker phone. "Sister, these unscrupulous people actually want to blackmail us. We all acted according to the figures we had agreed with the village chief, but they refused to comply. The lion didn't say anything, and even scolded us for colluding with their village chief. We just argued based on reason, and the director was beaten. Our photographer and lighting engineer went to help, but they were all beaten. Brother Dong is now lying on the ground with a bloody head. Something serious has happened. Sister. I'll call the police right now, don't worry, I'll be right back." "Don't. Sister, please don't come here. If you come, I'm afraid you will suffer a loss. Just call the police, call the police. I won't say anything anymore, ah." When the makeup artist girl was crying, she suddenly shouted and hung up the phone. Chaoran felt very, very guilty. In fact, among the people below, except for Xiaodong and the director, everyone else basically knew nothing about her plan. So the young lady is the one who has real feelings and is kept in the dark. As a result, she was so frightened that she cried like this. She still knew how to protect her at such a critical moment, but she felt sorry for everyone on the crew. After she goes back, she will definitely give her little sister several times more salary, well, so will the other little brothers. Everyone has worked hard. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 736. This group fight had been part of Chaoran's design from the beginning. Yesterday, the crew deliberately said that hundreds of people would be needed to perform today, which whetted the appetite of the villagers. In order to get this last chance to make money, and also to calculate the losses of their rape fields, At least 80 to 90% of the villagers came over early in the morning. However, just now the director suddenly announced that what was needed was not 100 people, but only the 30 people from a few days ago. Now, many people are dissatisfied. Yesterday we clearly agreed that it would be 100 people, so why did we go back on our word? They've all come, a whole family has come, gearing up to get into the top 100, and now they suddenly say they don't want them? Is this too much? They want an explanation. So there was a lot of noise and shouting. Seeing that the crew was scolded and embarrassed, the 30 people selected before naturally sided with the crew. However, it was fine that they didn't get involved, but the other villagers had long had objections to the old Lu family, the village chief's family, and the others. Now that they were licking dogs again, they were naturally furious, and the small quarrel turned into a big quarrel. Seeing that the war of words is getting more and more lively, producer Xiaodong has rushed to the forefront again. He made the situation even more aggravating with some unpleasant and self-esteem injurious curses. Not surprisingly, he was also surrounded and yelled at. Xiaodong came up with a bad temper and smashed the machine in his hand. Nah. I won't shoot anymore. You're going to give it to me. I won't shoot anymore. Who do you think you are? Are you bigger than Tao Ran? I see you as poor and pitiful, and you still ride on it to the end of my efforts to help you in poverty. Come up. I can't find you like this anywhere. You deserve to die in poverty. Listen up, everyone. Leave it to me. Xiaodong yelled and pouted at the people who shouted the loudest. He drooled and spoke harshly, which directly hurt the self-esteem of many people. On the other hand, people like the old Lu family were unwilling. What? Why don't you take pictures anymore? The 4 people in his family are all among the 30 people. 4 people are paid 800 yuan. If they still shoot rain scenes today, they can earn 1,600 yuan. So much money, wasted. What the hell are these fools doing? Lao Lu, the village chief and others hurried to the director and producer of the production to persuade them to calm down and beg them not to behave like those stupid people. The adults would not remember the faults of the villains and so on. But other villagers didn't think so. They feel that if they don't shoot, they won't shoot. It's best if they don't shoot. Then no one will have to make the money. If we all are poor together, we are better off than the cheap village elder Lu and the others. Then don't shoot. If you can, don't shoot. We are all human beings, who is inferior to the other? Helping the poor? You are so shameless. Are we begging you to help? Get out of our village quickly. Hurry up and settle the losses on our rapeseed fields. Look at those losers, how shameless they are. People are making fun of them just for some money, and they are still wagging their tails and walking around people. They don't even have any shame. What are you eating? Ha ha ha. Don't take pictures, everyone. Clean, clean. Blah blah blah, a group of people can yell loudly. The producer and director were both flushed with anger. Their anger that had finally subsided was aroused again, and they immediately started to pack up their equipment. Lao Lu, the village chief and others were scolded by a bunch of people, and their anger was rising. Oh shit. Those people have no ability themselves, so why should they prevent others from getting rich? Lao Lu really couldn't bear it anymore. When I thought of Qin Liu flying away after reaching my mouth, I couldn't hold it in any longer, so I punched out Lao Zhang, who was jumping the most at the moment. Lao Zhang and Lao Lu have had several quarrels recently. How can they be embarrassed in front of the whole village? The two of them got into a fight without saying a word. Several sons of Lao Liu's family also rushed forward to help. This was the story of the first conflict. However, there were more sensible villagers at that time, and everyone was still thinking about settling the compensation for the rapeseed fields, so they stepped forward to start a fight. The conflict thus lasted only a few minutes. Then the crew began to settle the losses on the rapeseed field. Since the shooting was basically concentrated in one area, there was not much loss. After roughly calculating the damaged area, the finance department took the local purchase price, crackled the calculator, multiplied the total by 3, and found that the total loss was only 18,000 yuan. In other words, the crew gave a deposit of 20,000 yuan before, which was already too much. Now, not only can the villagers no longer take money, they also have to withdraw 2,000. The villagers were collectively dumbfounded. As promised, this crew has a lot of money, but people are stupid and have a lot of money. The village chief said earlier that he wanted to deceive the crew by saying that 1 acre would produce 3,000 yuan, and triple it to 9,000 yuan. How about 8,000 yuan per acre? Previously, it was said that every household could receive a large amount of money, but that is not the case now. To say that this crew has always been stupid, why did they suddenly become enlightened? They are not stupid at all. Why did they bring the purchase price documents from the local government in advance for settlement? Fart. When the money is in their pockets, you still want them to take it out? What are you thinking? Dream on. But, what's wrong? Didn't the account that Lao Zhu's boy secretly picked up earlier say that the crew paid a deposit of 30,000 yuan? Why is it now the same as what the village chief said, saying that only 20,000 yuan was given? As the villagers looked at each other, they realized that this was probably the reason why the crew suddenly became smarter. It's because of the village chief. He took a benefit of 10,000 yuan from the crew, and then he colluded with the crew and leaked the real purchase price to the crew, losing the village's income and lining his own pocket. How abominable! You really know people and faces but don't know their hearts. How could they give up? A group of villagers immediately pushed the youngest son of Lao Zhu's family up. They said that they already knew that the village chief had received the money. They saw with their own eyes that the deposit for the rapeseed field on the crew's financial expenditure statement was 30,000 yuan. They already knew that the village chief was helping the crew to harm the village. So they demanded that the compensation be recalculated. The 10,000 yuan collected by the village chief must also be divided. Otherwise, the crew will never leave. Taking advantage of the large number of people, the villagers surrounded the crew. The village chief was completely confused. He kept insisting that he did not charge money, but no one believed him. Instead, he asked a bunch of people to greet the 18th generation of his ancestors and cursed him non-stop. No one listened to the director's explanation. The finance girl went to get the expenditure list and pointed out clearly that the amount they gave to the village chief was 20,000 yuan. Everything depends on evidence. You can't talk nonsense. This kid, do you know the numbers? No matter how poorly my son learns, he can't even distinguish between 2 and 3, right? Sister-in-law Zhu rushed forward and grabbed the list. Isn't this kind of thing just written by you? Do you still need evidence? She crumpled the paper without saying a word. You're crazy. The finance manager was really frightened and rushed forward to grab the expense report. This account must be reported to the police. Sister-in-law Zhu turned around, but the finance girl missed her, and then asked someone to push her, causing her to fall to the ground. At that time, producer Xiaodong became angry again, rushed to the front, and said, "Okay. Since we said we gave 30,000, then you should take out the extra 12,000 we gave. Village chief, come out with 10,000 yuan. Otherwise, we will meet in court." Now the village chief was about to cry. He rushed up and grabbed Lao Zhu. "How could you harm me like this? You are going too far. 10,000 yuan, is that small money?" Village chief Dong was heartbroken. "It's a thankless job for me, raising a village of white-eyed wolves." Seeing the man being grabbed by the village chief's neck, sister-in-law Zhu slapped the village chief. "Don't you deserve it? The consequences of stealing money. We exposed you and were afraid of spitting out 10,000 yuan, So we started to panic. You have to hit someone, right? Seeing that the Zhu family had all gone up, village chief Dong's family also immediately rushed forward to start a fight with the Zhu family. And Xiaodong was still clamoring, saying that not only would the crew not contribute another penny, but they also wanted the village to compensate and get back all the money they had paid before. He accidentally sprayed saliva on some people, and finally got beaten. He had already had the intention of scheming, and when he was pushed by someone, he aimed at the stone at hand and knocked it up. This is what the makeup artist lady later called a bloody head. Everyone in the crew was in a daze. At this moment, they could no longer bear it. A group of male staff members quickly participated in self-defense and counterattack. Everyone was holding a breath in their hearts. These days, because they see that these villagers are poor, they have been very tolerant and try their best to let the villagers make money. But the other party turned around and even blackmailed her? Everyone on the crew felt so wronged. So everyone went up to help. That's why when Taoran called the makeup artist, the young lady complained so sincerely and sadly. The young lady who was still eager to help didn't know that her voice had already spread throughout the internet. Through hot searches and short video websites, a large number of netizens already know that Taoran's crew was blackmailed and beaten up in a remote mountain village. The staff members suffered severe head injuries and the situation was terrible. Therefore, a large number of calls to the police, a large number of online forwardings, a large number of messages from police accounts, all of this is destined to make this village an internet celebrity. This is what Taoran wants. In this way, it is impossible for this village to be hidden among the mountains and rivers. Taoran wanted to use his popularity to expose the village to the public eye. At least it can't be like Shinshin's hard work. In the end big things turn into small things and small things turn into nothing. Shanshan is so innocent, but how tragic would it be if people with conscience and actions ended up becoming Shanshan? Now, these villagers gathered to fight and blackmail. The evidence is conclusive. They can't escape, and she won't let them go. The number of people in the live broadcast room is still rising. Even people who have no interest in the entertainment industry are attracted in large numbers. Taoran smiled. Is this really what she wants? No, what she wants is just the beginning. Soon, most of the ability users in this village will be controlled here in the rape field. Then the village behind him will be empty. And her play has just begun. Taoran pointed the live broadcast camera at herself. She said she was anxious and uneasy, but she still wanted to go down and take a look. Most people in the live broadcast room were stopping her. It would be too dangerous to continue talking. She is a girl and a star, so things can easily happen. But I'm not worried. Taoran prepared to go down the mountain without saying anything. And the path she chose surprised everyone again. In order to go down the mountain quickly, she actually took a rock climbing rope from her bag and chose to climb down from the cliff. Originally, I was live streaming today because I planned to slide down the mountain because of the beautiful scenery here. Now, this is really the best choice. Going down the mountain here is the fastest and most convenient. Going down the mountain from here, passing through the woods and the village, you will reach the rapeseed field. It is indeed the fastest way. It's just that this cliff looks steep and too dangerous. Everyone tried to dissuade him. I have made martial arts films and have also practiced. Everyone must have confidence in my skills. While talking, Taoran had already fastened the rope and went down sideways. She is agile and skillful in her movements. Apparently good at rock climbing. She quickly slid down the climbing rope and reached the mountainside smoothly. Everyone gradually felt relieved. After another 10 seconds, as the angle of view dropped, the camera began to shake randomly. Seeing that he was still 2 meters away from reaching the ground, Taoran's feet that were against the rock and soil suddenly stepped out. Afterwards, what netizens saw during the live broadcast was Taoran's surprised expression. The host asked what's wrong repeatedly. I don't know. Then the cameras started to shake again. The perspective changed, and everyone saw something like a pit appearing in front of them. As soon as Chao Ranran stopped, straightened his waist and kicked off his legs, the hole in front of him suddenly became bigger, hollow. She stepped on it. Due to the lack of sight, the melon-eating crowd could not see anything clearly. But Chao Ran was filled with trembling, and he screamed in terror, which frightened everyone. The cameras shook again, and everyone knew that Chao Ran had fallen. While the host was still asking what happened, a beam of light came on, and everyone saw that in front of them was a vaguely hidden cave that was only half a person's height, and the content in the cave was intuitive and direct. It seems to be a woman? What's in the soil can't be alive, right? Not to mention Chao Ran, many netizens who were caught off guard also had psychological shadows at this moment, screaming in front of their computer and mobile phone screens. Because of Chao Ran's scream, they were already on guard and were so afraid, so there was no need to mention Chao Ran, right? You can imagine how scared she was. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 737. After Chao Ran missed the mark and was exposed to the world, the person who frightened everyone was the Gujing woman that Shan Shan met before. Chao Ran had found her long ago. She wanted to see people alive, and wanted to see a corpse when she was dead. Since Shan Shan saw her being pushed off the cliff in her dream, and the area near the cliff was extremely dark, Chao Ran concluded that she must still be near the cliff. On the first night here, Chao Ran went down the cliff. This cliff is not a stone cliff. To be precise, there is more mud than stone, and there are many trees growing horizontally on the cliff. Therefore, if you are pushed down the mountain, there is a high probability that you will not be shattered into pieces. At the bottom of the cliff, she found several small mounds similar to graves. Unfortunately, there are no names in front of these small mounds. Chao Ran speculated that this area with a particularly strong yin qi was probably the final destination of the shameful women in this village. At that time, she took out a handful of incense and placed 3 incense sticks in front of each grave. The incense burned at an incredible speed, and she knew she had guessed correctly. The chat group she joined was not without its merits. This method was learned from there. One uses incense as a medium, and the other uses incense as an offering. In this way, it is easy to talk. Chao Ran lit another incense. I will try my best to help you go home. After the incense burned out, she felt that the place suddenly became a lot brighter. I turned on the flashlight and was about to check a little bit. But when she looked up, she saw that the slightly protruding mud about half a meter above her head was somewhat new. Then she felt the familiar scent that had been lingering around Shan Shan before. She lit incense. I'm here to help. If you've offended me, please forgive me. I'll try my best to give you justice. Then Chao Ran pulled, and sure enough, the new soil fell down. The situation there was revealed. Suddenly sad. This is not even a grave. There should have been a depression in this place originally. Those people were probably eager to deal with it but too lazy to bother, so they curled up the woman and stuffed it into it. Then they filled it with soil and compacted the circle of soil. I think that woman felt aggrieved while alive, died unjustly, and was wronged after death. How can she not be so resentful? Stop pestering innocent people. I will definitely help you. Chao Ran lit all the remaining incense. The incense is exhausted, and the traces of black air are temporarily gone. Every wrongdoer has his own debtor, and the real culprits are here. I'll help you bring them to justice. Chao Ran restored the entrance to the cave. The woman's wish is to leave this village. If she wants to leave, she must know who she is, right? So she had to be exposed. So at this moment, the woman passing by in the live broadcast screen was that woman. Of course, Taoran respected the deceased, and in the exposed scene, she was just a half-sitting woman, with her long wind-draped hair, her face invisible, and a thin floral blouse. There are too many barrages in the live broadcast room, and I can no longer see any of them clearly. The host screamed and was dumbfounded. It took them 3 seconds before they started calling Taoran. It's a human being. Taoran's voice was filled with tears. With trembling hands, she had already turned away the picture. Her clothes haven't rotted yet, she probably died not long ago. Who is not allowed to have wild imaginations? If a person is sitting bent, he is definitely not being buried. And since she was going to be buried, why not give her a grave and bury her properly? How could she be embedded in the mud wall? Death is a big deal, so was it treated so carelessly? Could it be an abnormal death? The host gasped. They just had a glimpse and couldn't see clearly, so they could only comfort Taoran to pay attention to his safety and quickly retreat to the flat ground. Taoran was using his internal energy to adjust his complexion. When she switched the screen content back to herself, she saw that her whole face was pale. And the more frightened she became, the more speculation arose, making people wonder about what she had seen. I think she must be in some condition, like she was murdered. It's so scary. She stopped clicking. She was obviously frightened. She couldn't speak clearly, and only a few words came out. I'm sorry, today's live broadcast ends here. She was trembling in the screen, and even her lips turned white. I have to go call the police. Thank you everyone. Then, she cut off the screen directly. People in the live broadcast room exploded. Killed. Was he murdered? Taoran was involved in a murder case? No one has such luck. How many people have started to rewind and watch the live broadcast, and how many people have already recorded the screenshot of just 1 second? At this time, not only the manager's sister Chen, but also the company boss and even several old acquaintances from the national TV station were calling Taoran. Taoran refused to answer any of them. What she wants is more attention and more help. When such a big thing was brought to light, it was natural to get to the bottom of it. Furthermore, since she is the one who is the most outspoken, one can imagine how many people will be panicked and how much shock will be caused. If nothing else, the company will put pressure on. The police arrived. The group of people in the rape field were surrounded and controlled, and the police came to investigate around Taoran. The woman's clothes were damaged in many places, she had many fractures on her body, and there was a bruise on her head. The hair in that circle was all caked with blood, and the woman's coat was also covered with blood stains. It was obviously not a normal death. So the question is, who is this woman? Judging by the extent of the decomposition, she must have died less than a year ago. However, they searched for information and found that among the people who died in this village in the past year, there were only 2 old people in their 70s or 80s, and there was no such woman at all. The origin is unknown and he died here, which is a big problem. Could it be that someone from out of town committed suicide by jumping off a cliff and was later buried? But no. That woman will never die with her eyes open. Suicide, would you open your eyes so wide? And if he committed suicide, why didn't anyone call the police after he was discovered, but he was buried hastily? Taoran cooperated with the investigation and recounted what happened. The police began to search for clues and evidence nearby, and soon found something. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 738. Several fingers of the female corpse had been broken, indicating that she might have had a fight with someone before her death. The police took her remaining nails for testing to see if there was any skin tissue left. In addition, they arranged for the DNA of the female corpse to be extracted and compared to the database. After searching the body, a spoon was found in the inner pocket with the word John clearly written on it. Open. I quickly checked and found out that only one family in the whole village had the surname John. While the police went to the rape field to interrogate the John family, they also led a team to search the John family's home. Compared with the female corpse incident, the fight in the rape field is nothing to mention. The John family was taken aside for interrogation. Xiaodong talked with the senior police officer and said that this matter was now a serious social incident and asked if filming could be carried out. Their equipment and personnel are all there, so the filming can go smoothly. Of course, they are just filming, and it is up to the police and officials to decide whether it will be broadcast later and whether it will be made public. Generally, in this situation, the media is sometimes allowed to intervene. If done well, it can promote correct values and help shape the official image. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages. The senior police officer said he would ask the next level for instructions. Tao Ran also sent a message to the national television station. If the filming and recording was carried out, it would be very meaningful and could also become a hot news in society. She wasn't completely sure at first, but now the matter was so big that she couldn't cover it up. So after coordination between several parties, this matter really happened. When the senior police officer receives the call, he can let the crew start filming first. The condition for the crew is that no material is allowed to be leaked without permission. The ownership of the content does not belong to the crew. Of course the crew agreed. The camera immediately went into working mode, and the staff, regardless of their recent injuries, were divided into 3 groups. One group filmed the scene of the incident, one group filmed the police interrogation in the rape field, and one group filmed the search in the village. When the Zhang family was arrested by the police and caught on camera, they suddenly panicked. They couldn't understand how there could be such a coincidence in the world, and the woman was discovered like this. When asked about the female corpse in the back mountain, they denied it and didn't know anything about it. When the police saw their panic, they knew that the matter was not simple. The police mentioned the spoon again, and the Zhang family was instantly dumbfounded. What spoon? Where did the spoon come from? Why is there a spoon? Impossible. They buried that woman's body with their own hands, and there was absolutely no spoon. The Zhang family was taken to the foot of the cliff. Is this your home? The senior police officer asked. Seeing the spoon in the police officer's hand, Lao Zhang confirmed at a glance that it was indeed from home. No. Not necessarily. Lao Zhang could only say this. The high police officer's eyes suddenly became fierce. I advise you to tell the truth. Our people have found similar spoons in your home. After comparison, they are exactly the same. Officer, this matter has nothing to do with my family. Did someone steal my spoon? A spoon can't explain anything. Lao Zhang shook his head. But it's still not right. There are only a few old pottery spoons in his house that have been scalded. They used them yesterday and didn't notice that they were missing. Why is there one here? Someone is trying to harm me. Something suddenly flashed through Lao Zhang's mind. Evidence bearing the family name suddenly appeared. Why is this method so familiar? He suddenly remembered the shovel with the surname Lu written on it a few days ago. The day before yesterday, Lao Lu dug up the roof of his thatched house and was found to have left a shovel with the word Lu on it. Today, a spoon with the word Zhang in his house was found in a shady place. Will this? It was Lao Lu who had been exposed by himself for his evil deeds a few days ago, and he had a grudge, so he used similar means to retaliate against himself, stealing his own spoon and put it with that woman? Otherwise, who else would do this? Who else has a grudge against my own family? Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that it was exactly the same as what happened a few days ago? If it weren't for the people in this village, who would know there were people buried there? Who will put the spoon in? Otherwise, how could Tao Ran, a foreigner, have fallen into that trap so coincidentally? I have had several fights with Lao Lu in the past few days, he must be seeking revenge. Lao Zhang screamed that he had been wronged, saying that he had been framed, while slapping his face and glaring in the direction of the rape field with a resentful look. Officer Gao noticed Lao Zhang's expression and looked towards the rape field. Tao Ran gave a pointer. This Uncle Zhang seems to have a big grudge against Uncle Lu over there, and they have been fighting every day for the past few days. If what Uncle Zhang said is true, and he was wrongly accused and framed, then, the bad guy is most likely that Uncle Lu. How about asking Uncle Lu to ask, look at her good advice? At this moment, Lao Zhang wanted to slap Tao Ran on the mouth. His whole body felt cold, he shuddered and shivered several times. He and Lao Lu are there, Lao Lu is here, is that okay? Don't, he shouted subconsciously. Tao Ran, you also said that we have a grudge. If he comes, he will definitely add insult to injury. Wouldn't this harm me? The senior police officer looked at him and then smiled. We are here and will not let him wrongly accuse you. Don't worry. Besides, don't you want to know who framed your Zhang family and put the spoon here? Just in time, interrogate him properly. The result can be imagined. When Lao Lu arrived here, he was immediately devastated when he heard that he was suspected by the police and Lao Zhang. Not only might he have stolen the spoon and wronged Lao Zhang's family, but the female body was also related to him. In the next few seconds, he was spitting out fragrance and scolding all the ancestors of the old Zhang family. You. He was so angry. How many times is this? Over and over again, this scoundrel comes to frame him for no reason. Originally, maybe he would have said less for the sake of the group, but now this shit has been poured on his head. If he shuts up again, he will be the one who gets in. Who is this woman? You don't have any points? This woman has things from your old Zhang family. Is it weird? Old Lu was so angry that he didn't want to take any more money. Over there, Lao Zhang jumped up and down while being pulled by the police. Old Lu, you are not allowed to slander anyone. Put aside our grudges for now, don't harm me. Bah! You're such a vicious thing. Who is harming whom? Old Lu bowed to the police officer. Officer, I'm not talking nonsense. In this way, you can interrogate the children of the Zhang family and you will know who this woman is. If they don't tell, do a paternity test for them and this woman. By the way, you can go to his house. Search the well, and there may be some evidence. When Lao Lu said these words, Tao Ran looked at the female corpse and let out a heavy breath. Since we want to help seek justice, it must not only be the dead of being murdered, but also the hatred of women being detained and persecuted. And those are all things in the past, and only the testimony of fellow villagers is strong enough. This is her ultimate goal of trying to sow discord between the Murakami people. If they don't bite each other, it will be difficult to open the first gap. Now the first identity card is secured. What's next will be easier to handle. Only in this way can we save more poor women. Well, the spoon that aroused their suspicion and made old Lu unable to hold back his resentment was naturally the one she placed next to the female corpse. And, she did more than that. Today is Women's Day. I won't talk about goddesses or queens. I just want to speak out for the women who are still suffering at the bottom of society. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 740. Although Lao Liu's words didn't make it clear, it was almost obvious. The senior police officer understood and asked Lao Lu to be taken away for interrogation alone. Several of Lao Zhang's children were also brought and questioned separately. The children couldn't bear the pressure and burst into tears soon. And the more they dare not answer, the more weird it is. The police also followed what Lao Lu said and searched the ancient well in Zhang's yard. They got down and went to the dry ancient well to investigate little by little. As a result, not only a button was found in the gap in the well wall, but also a lot of hair. When I took it outside and compared it, I found that the buttons came from she's clothes that were missing a button. Judging from the color, thickness, length, and texture of the hair, they also seemed to belong to she's. Various signs have shown that the woman they found had spent time in the Zhang family's well. The Zhang family is lying. That's right, Taoran actually put this button and hair into the well. If you want to help a woman get justice, how can the past she is trapped in the well be erased? The Zhang family had already cleaned up the well before, and they had eliminated the evidence, so Taoran would create some for them. In this way, the directionality is already obvious. The woman had been in the well. The police also found that a few months ago, someone called the police that someone was in Zhangjiajing. They dispatched the police at that time, but did not find anything. The question is serious. The reason why Taoran carefully selected Laolu as his focus was because his family was relatively harmonious from elder to younger, the family was neat and tidy, and he didn't seem to have many weaknesses. Such a person would definitely not be willing to be dragged down. In addition, his biggest problem is that he is impulsive and loves to drink and use force, so this goal is perfect. And at this moment, he did not disappoint Taoran at all. Lao Zhang was unkind to him, so he naturally had no fear of injustice. He revealed everything about the old Zhang family's detention of women. Immediately afterwards, the village chief and other villagers also became the targets of questioning. When there are many people, the mouths naturally become mixed. Soon, the village was like a sieve, leaking water everywhere. The witnesses and physical evidence were conclusive, and handcuffs were prepared. After all, Lao Zhang couldn't stand it anymore. He thought that it was Laolu who plotted against him first, and the whole village was extremely angry because he had betrayed him. How? He's not the only one who did bad things. He is not the only one in the village. Why is he the only one who bears the consequences now? Rather than doing this, it would be better to die together. So when faced with the cross-examination, he felt the sky was dark and the earth was dark. He simply pointed at Lao Wu and others and said bluntly that those people were not clean either. Anyone who had the ability should go check them out. There are quite a few people with cellars in this village, and there might be surprises inside. At this time, the crew took another crucial step. They said that the population of the village did not match the actual number. They submitted a video of a previous pay settlement. Several houses had more people. A comparison of this breathtaking video with the villagers' information reveals that the problems have been exposed. Old Wu's house is naturally not clean. The woman Lao Wu was hiding behind in the video was found in the cellar of his home. When the woman saw the light of day again, she burst into tears. Lao Wu knew that he had been exposed, and knew that it was Lao Zhang who was about to be sent to the police car, so he simply told how Lao Zhang had treated the Gujing woman over the years. The whole village was in complete chaos. Expose each other's past and show no mercy. Conflicts have already arisen among the people. Now some people are trying to protect themselves, some are trying to get away with it, some are trying to accomplish their crimes, and some are thinking of dying together. Faced with interrogation, secrets finally surface one by one. Once the mind is scattered, no matter how solid the interests are, they are like a piece of scattered sand, and everyone only cares about himself. And with the videos submitted by Taoran and his crew, they basically identified which companies were in trouble. Therefore, the rescue work was carried out quite smoothly. The village chief became the target of intense questioning. When he was put into the police car, he finally couldn't bear it anymore and committed all the crimes in the village. 60% of the villagers in this village were eventually taken away for investigation, and the elderly and children in the village who had no one to take care of them were temporarily taken care of by local charities. Today, the sunset in the sky is extremely beautiful, and the scenery of the Green Mountains is particularly beautiful. Taoran could sense that the resentment surrounding the cliff was completely different from what it was 10 days ago. In the evening, the results of the Gujing woman's various tests also came out. She is the biological mother of the Zhang family's children, and there is no identity information about her in the village. Villagers testified that she had been here for 7 years. Because she always wanted to escape, she was locked up shortly after giving birth to her first child. It's a sure thing, Lao Zhang and his family can't run away. As for the woman's identity, she has already figured it out. The woman's blood relatives are on their way for testing. As for other rescued people, they are all undergoing genetic matching and information comparison. After a rigorous investigation, the owners of the unnamed graves emerged one by one as the villagers bit each other. At this point, Taoran felt relieved. She finally settled the matter within the limited time. The filth has been cleaned up, and no one who has done all kinds of evil can escape. Taoran invited some masters to go to the bottom of the cliff to practice salvation, while Shanshan completely said goodbye to the harassment of the women in the ancient well after having a dream. This time, she didn't scare me. Instead, she apologized to me and asked me to express my gratitude to you. She said that she could finally start a new life. Although she was not out of trouble, she saw so many people like her. They were all saved, she was redressed, and she could let go of her grudges. She said that your merits are immeasurable and you will definitely be rewarded. Right? The sun's rays hit him, and Taoran looked at the golden light lingering around him. It was indeed shining brighter and thicker. Whether it was merit or faith, whether it was useful to her or not, she felt happy. There are so many injustices in the world, and it is impossible for her to level them. But she tried her best to help in her own way, and even if she didn't get anything in return, she didn't feel any pity at all. The company sent a special person to handle this matter. Taoran did not take the first-class flight arranged by the company. She got on the cruise bus. There was a fight yesterday and several people were injured. It was no accident to everyone, and she felt sorry. She thanked everyone for their help, and while shouldering the medical expenses, she had nothing to repay, so she could only pay 5 times her salary in return. However, everyone unanimously stated that they would still receive the normal salary as before, and the extra hard work fees would be donated to Taoran's charity foundation. It turned out that since last night, Taoran had personally called the foundation manager and suggested that a part of the fund should be allocated specifically for the assistance of women and children. He also took the initiative to talk to the boss of his own agency to lobby the company to take advantage of the current popularity. The stock situation is good, so I will spend some money to support the foundation. She also contacted Mr. Zhang, whom she had earlier deceived into signing up for the foundation. With a phone call last night, she was deceived into paying another 3 million to the foundation. When she and Shanshan were on the bus, they were still on video calls with people from the foundation, urging them to hurry up and implement this matter. After the crew saw something with their own eyes, they were all deeply touched. Then they saw that Taoran was busy raising money, so now they are also generously donating. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 741. When Taoran returned home, there were only 2 days left before the 20 days given by Elizabeth. So tired. She really wanted to be paralyzed for 2 days. But she is still very busy. She first went to the company and signed a brokerage agreement. The company benefited from her this time, and the stock price has been up for 3 days, so the salary offered to her was extremely generous. This saved Taoran the trouble of bargaining, and also allowed her to no longer have to worry about money for the time being. She and Sister Chen have already discussed the specific details of the contract. In the future, the company cannot force her to accept the projects discussed by the company. She must nod to accept them, and she can only accept one activity per month at most. In addition, the company is responsible for maintaining her image, and any strange slander, rumors, or lawsuits about her will be dealt with by the company. In addition, Taoran also bluntly informed her that she would have to wait a few more days to repay the money the company lent her. She didn't shy away from saying that all her money was invested in the stock market. The company's stock prices have been going well these days, so she has to take advantage of this time to make more money. In this regard, several big leaders of the company were extremely speechless. Although you are so poor, you still donate all your wealth. Even though you are so short of money, why do you still refuse to accept so many jobs? You don't even own a house, you're already making money in this way, why do you stick to it just for an impulsive remark about quitting? Perhaps, after all, they are too vulgar and their realm is too low? Naturally, the company said, it doesn't matter, there is no need to rush to pay it back. The leaders began to persuade her to sign the full contract back to the company. The company can buy you that villa, provide you with a car, a nanny, and a driver, get Shanshan back, allocate Xiaodong to you, and give you a certain amount of shares. Taoran smiled and refused. Just wait a little longer. She really wanted to go back, but she had to wait until her health was completely recovered and then after dealing with Elizabeth. Now that I have signed part of the contract, Xiaodong will be responsible for my future affairs in the company. Xiaodong has made a big contribution this time. Since she will have to return to the circle in the future, she will naturally have to keep her own people. Be around. As for Shan Shan, it would be more appropriate to stay in the foundation and keep an eye on her. Taoran also discussed with the company. She said that she could no longer use the material she shot this time due to a vicious incident. But the efforts of the director and staff cannot be in vain, so she is willing to provide the material to the company. She suggested that the 10 days of footage shot in the rape fields could be edited into the music videos of newcomers that the company has recently promoted. Is this such a good thing? Taoran is willing to be the protagonist of the MV, and he can't even ask for it. She is willing to help new recruits, which is a great blessing for the company. A small exchange. Taoran twirled his fingers. Can the company bear the cost of this shooting? The total cost for 10 days was several million. Although he had earned more than half of it in the stock market, Taoran still felt distressed. The company didn't think twice and agreed immediately. Taoran's enthusiasm, coupled with the warmth of the rapeseed field, once the MV is released, the effect can be imagined. This money can be earned back quickly. No. All proceeds from the release of this song will be donated. This works better. The newcomer will definitely be an instant success, the company's stock value will rise, and it will be great to gain another reputation. After Taoran returned home, he spent several hours drawing a few more talismans. Although the money for drawing talismans seems easy, there is too little spiritual energy in this world. For her, a rookie in the early stages of Qi training, it is not easy to draw several perfect talismans in one go, and the recovery of spiritual energy is even slower. So I can only take my time. On this day, she went to Whitebeard Taoist to deliver the goods. When old man Wu saw her for the first time, he praised her body-protecting merits for her richness. Can you really see merit? Yes. The girl's body is dyed with golden light, which is extraordinary. Golden light is merit. Exactly. Sure enough, here, this golden light is merit. But in the words of Elizabeth and Mr. Bai, that is the power of faith. Is this the cultural difference between East and West? Same thing, different interpretations. Just as she is now being controlled, in Elizabeth's words it is a curse, but in the words of the old man, it is a prohibition. If all things lead to the same destination through different paths, then using Eastern methods, sooner or later the forbidden curse of the West can be solved, right? Chang Tian gave her directions, but she had to study the specific operations herself. Elizabeth valued the golden light on her body and drooled many times. This shows that this thing is extremely important. Tell me about the benefits of my merits. Chaoran had a rare moment to sit down and drank a cup of tea from the old man. It turns out that the old man has been practicing Taoism for many years. Although Taoism has declined, he believes that he still has some knowledge. Cultivation of one's character, fortune-telling, and feng shui are all somewhat practiced. So Chaoran simply chatted with him. Lao Wu, what is merit? Simply put, merit is good deeds, and virtue is kindness. It is a gift from heaven and earth. After giving, it is the basis of Taoism, and it is the best gift and bestowal from heaven. The girl's blessings are profound, and I can't even match them. So instead of asking me, why don't you experience the feeling and use it yourself? Alright. Chaoran gave out a few magic talismans, and the other party felt like they had found a treasure. Without saying a word, he immediately transferred 1 million to her. Master Bao's peace charm is very effective. The old man has an old friend. In recent years, his fortune has been marked by robbers. He has had bad luck. His eyes have turned dark and his eyelids are twitching. He tried to find someone to help him several times, but it didn't work. He has been unlucky and his teeth are stuffed even when he drinks cold water. That day he came to his shop. Find something to ward off evil spirits and bring good luck. Old man Wu told him that he had something good and showed him the new talisman. That person probably didn't believe that the magic talisman was useful, so he only bought the lower level talisman. Unexpectedly, as soon as I stepped out of the street, my arms felt hot and my chest felt hot. He was stunned and covered his chest, and the car hit the telephone pole next to him. He was frightened for a while, and he was just one step away from being hit. Touching the chest again, the magic talisman had been broken into pieces. Without saying a word, this old friend went back and spent 600,000 to buy the intact talisman. Due to its miraculous effectiveness, there have been more and more people asking for talismans recently, and they have sold several inferior talismans in their group, and even the name of King Yun sect Master Bao has become famous. So, if there is a talisman there, girl, just take it for consignment. No matter it is good or bad, I will accept any amount. The talismans are all here. My master is traveling abroad and I haven't been able to contact him recently. Okay, then when Master Bao comes back, I hope the girl can help introduce him. No problem. Chaoran asked old man Wu for help and asked some experts to go to Shinchen's house to check the feng shui. She was afraid that there was still resentment in Shinchen's family, and she was about to leave. If something happened, she wouldn't be able to take care of it. After another busy day, Chaoran could feel the golden light on her body getting stronger at night. The reason is this rescue. News came from the countryside. After several days of investigation and rescue, not only that village, but also neighboring villages organized several investigations and rescued more than a dozen women. Chaoran's crew called the police in time, helped with the filming and provided evidence. This time it was considered a credit. This incident was reported and caused a huge response. Chaoran is on the hot search again, and the agency also benefits a lot. The Daoran Foundation's special fund for women and children was also officially launched. Mr. Zhang and Fangxing Entertainment did not forget to mention Chaoran's suggestion when they made generous donations. With the support of this social popularity, more and more people have invested in helping women. Children's charity event. These merits are all attributed to Chaoran. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 742. This incident happened to coincide with Women's Day, so it triggered a wave of social discussions on the rights of women and children, and led to the emergence of many protection clauses related to women and children. These are great things for the people. In addition, more and more people have joined in this kind of charity, so Chaoran's merit has almost skyrocketed. With so many meritorious deeds, it was hard not to be moved by Tao Ran. She thought to herself that she had stolen a lot of merit and sealed it during the 2 missions just now. Since Elizabeth didn't notice it, she naturally didn't need to be polite this time. Just as he was about to prepare the seal, Tao Ran discovered that the wood spirit had swallowed a lot of golden light during this period, so its main vine looked thicker again. Instead of using the merit earned to benefit Elizabeth, it would be better to use it to nourish the wood spirit that had already saved her once. Tao Ran immediately sealed it again. The wood spirit seemed to be surrounded by a layer of gold. The wood spirit bud piece swayed several times, and Tao Ran could feel its pleasure. In the blink of an eye, it's the last day before the new mission begins. After Tao Ran went to tell Shan Shan to continue to handle the stocks for him, he told her that he was going to travel far away. Shan Shan knew that she would go out every once in a while, so she volunteered to help her take care of Granny Hua. After telling Xiaodong and arranging everything, Tao Ran turned off his phone and started practicing. Elizabeth once again appeared in her dream. After so many days, she didn't look good. Have you thought about it? It's about the survival game. She got straight to the point. Tao Ran, think about it. As long as you keep your promise and won't intercept the rewards from this game, I will try my best to go again. Don't worry, I want you to help me do the task well. I won't trick you. Elizabeth's beautiful face twisted again. Besides, I'm already like this, and I don't have the ability to intercept it. Put it away. Don't worry too much. Okay then, it's a deal. Tao Ran thought about it carefully. Elizabeth's strength has greatly increased through the rewards she received. This time, she has to give it a try for the rewards. Maybe the prize from the advanced world can directly help her get rid of the curse? She had to go see it. Then let's get started. Tao Ran remembered her saying that she had to do one more task before she could accumulate enough energy to enter the survival game. Listen, this time I will use almost all my energy to send you farther. Don't let me down, and come back with more reward. Elizabeth's voice has begun to weaken. Otherwise, my power may not be enough to send you to the survival game. The feeling of detachment comes as expected. Elizabeth said she wanted to send herself farther away, but Tao Ran didn't expect that this far would be so far. It brought her directly to the end of the world. A world she has not yet visited and is at a loss for what to do. As science and technology develop further, the natural environment is increasingly destroyed, and humans suffer the consequences. At first, it was just an abnormal climate. The temperature is often over 30 degrees Celsius during the day, but drops to only a few degrees at night. The temperature difference between day and night is getting bigger and bigger, plants are dying in large numbers, and animals are beginning to become extinct. Soon, the polar glaciers began to melt, and many ancient viruses that had originally frozen the 2 poles began to invade humans. The progress of human society came to a standstill, and the whole world was caught off guard. In the process of fighting the virus, a virus mutated. Some people infected with this virus will die directly, but more will evolve into the walking dead, that is, zombies. Fortunately, the human race has gradually differentiated into a more advanced category through the process of survival of the fittest, namely those with superpowers. The proportion of these people is not high, but they are regarded as the hope that can lead mankind out of the predicament. The rest of the people are just ordinary people. The client's name is Shen Rong. When the end of the world comes, there will only be a few people left who are smart, strong, and powerful. At that time, she had just graduated from college and had been rejected from several job interviews, leaving her unemployed at home. Fortunately, her family is well off, and her parents are open-minded and don't control her too much. And she has a good personality, is carefree, and can get along well with everyone in the community. In the first few days after the virus emerged, Shen Rong was very foresight and purchased a large amount of rice, noodles, and convenience foods online. Not only does she bring boxes of food to her home, but she also tells everyone she sees in the community to quickly stock up on food. Xiao Rong is unfounded. We must believe in technology and the country. The uncle and aunt saw her carrying rice into the building and helped and persuaded her. I believe it. But have you forgotten the epidemic more than 10 years ago? If there is an infection in our city, it is very likely that the city will be closed. Prices will rise by then, and many things cannot be bought even if you have money. They can't get in. With food in hand, you won't have to worry about food and drink, and you won't be afraid of the collapse that day, right? Price increase. For uncles and aunts, what does it mean to be like thunder? These two words are it. It makes sense, it makes sense. Nowadays, you don't have to worry about stocking up on packaged rice and noodles. You still need something to eat, so why should you be afraid of buying more? Thinking about it this way, it's natural to buy, and stock up. Ordinary people are just afraid of following the trend. Seeing the neighbors on the left and right with bags of rice and noodles in their hands, how could others not panic? As a result, everyone in the community started buying. Young people like Shen Rong like to shop online. Uncles and aunts ask supermarkets to deliver their goods, while grandparents buy such large items and ask convenience supermarkets in their communities to deliver them. The rice and noodles in the community supermarket were sold out in 2 days, and the boss, Brother Mao, was naturally happy. How could he make it impossible for everyone to buy something? He's just worried that he won't be able to get the goods when the epidemic comes, isn't he? So with a wave of his hand, he loaded in 3 more trucks of food and daily necessities and put them into the warehouse. At that time, he heard that the virus had become serious in some areas, and Shen Rong also suggested that Brother Mao bring back more medical first aid kits. Shen Rong didn't have to go to work. Besides helping everywhere, he also helped everyone buy a lot of protective masks and protective clothing online. He even bought a lot of snacks from various places, from dried durian to snail noodles. The virus came at once, and almost on the same day, major outbreaks began in various places. At first, police cars and ambulances could be heard everywhere, but gradually, these sounds were covered by various screams. Although their community is old, the security is very good. The wall is built very high, and as long as a few doors are locked, it is very safe. On this day when the virus broke out, many people working outside were unable to return to their communities. Fortunately, Father Shen and Mother Shen, who work in the same unit, came back safely. According to the statistics of the guard uncle, only half of the people came back this time. These people who came back had just experienced the harshness outside and knew that the world was in chaos. Taking advantage of the fact that there were only a few zombies outside the community gate, responsible adults went to clean up the zombies together, and then they all stood up and held a meeting to think of countermeasures. About a quarter said they were leaving. Some of them want to go back to their hometowns, some want to find family members who have not been able to come back, and some want to find their lovers. The men eventually drove off. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 743. Television and communication equipment at that time were still usable. After seeing the conditions outside with their own eyes from reports and real photos, most people chose to stay in the relative safety of their homes. We are not that stupid and know that we must unite at this time. The community is their safest line of defense. They have food and water, and as long as they guard the community, they can survive for a year or 2 even if they do nothing. Young adults stood up. They reinforced several large iron gates and formed patrol teams to patrol day and night. They selected a group of strong and brave men, formed a convoy of them and went out several times. At that time, the crisis had just broken out. They successfully filled up the car with gas and brought back a large amount of water, gasoline, dry batteries, tools, knives and stick weapons, and communication equipment such as walkie-talkies. The old and weak people who stayed behind in the community also took advantage of the normal supply of tap water to store large amounts of water. At night, Dad Shen and another young man went out in an off-road vehicle. Dad Shen was going to pick up his parents who lived 10 kilometers away, and another young man happened to be picking up his girlfriend on the way. They set off just like that, but they didn't come back for 5 days. They only called once the day after they left, saying that they were trapped in the supermarket and were safe for the time being, and then there was no news. And Shenrong has always been the main member guarding the community. Not only because of her own enthusiasm, but also because she is familiar with most people in the community. Everyone is grateful to her because they stock up with her and now don't have to worry about food and drink. Of course, the most important reason is that Shenrong has practiced Taekwondo for 15 years, has a strong body and excellent fighting skills. In order to allow vehicles looking for supplies and rescuing people to enter and exit smoothly, Shenrong relied on Shenrong to kill at least a quarter of the zombies outside the community every day. During this period, they went out to look for Father Shen twice, but no one was found in the supermarket, and Father Shen was not seen among the zombies around the supermarket. Shenrong felt that with his father's ability to use legs and feet, he would definitely survive. He will definitely take his grandparents back to the community. So she wants to keep the home for everyone. So the strong Shenrong put all his thoughts on guarding the community. They have made a lot of efforts and everyone supports each other, so life is not difficult. In the blink of an eye, more than a month has passed since the virus broke out. The situation is getting worse and worse, the power system is already unstable, the number of zombies is increasing, and the air is full of pungent smells. Some people in the community have begun to awaken their powers. Some people suddenly become seriously ill, some are between life and death, and some lucky people suddenly develop supernatural powers. For example, the 70-year-old Grandpa Fang suddenly fainted and woke up, and his eyes suddenly became better than a telescope. Standing high up, you can even see the sparrows on the old locust tree in the school playground opposite. So he was honorably incorporated into the patrol team. It's a pity that Shenrong is still the same. She was not favored by God. She is still an ordinary girl with no other talents except fighting. Although Shenrong was depressed about this, she did not shrink back when needed. That day, it was time to replenish supplies. This time, what they need most is medicine. Most of the elderly and children left behind in the community are already frail and need regular medicine. In this situation, injuries are commonplace, and antibiotics in the community have also run out, so they have to find various drugs. This time, it was Shenrong who went out with 2 other young people. The pharmacies around the community have long been vacated. They have to go to a large supermarket 2 kilometers away. There are several pharmacies with warehouses nearby. But their car couldn't drive near the supermarket, and the road was blocked by abandoned vehicles and debris. There was no choice but to leave Shenrong. Shenrong is very skilled. In order to avoid zombies, he always runs over the roof of a car like parkour. The front door of the pharmacy is locked. Shenrong stepped on the billboards and light boxes and smashed open the second-floor window with the steel rod he had on hand, then turned over and climbed onto the window sill. Looking back, I saw a large number of zombies coming this way. If there is a traffic jam, the car will be stuck inside. Shenrong quickly used the intercom to ask the 2 people to drive away, at least to lure the large group of zombies away first. But those 2 people were unwilling to leave her behind, and they missed the opportunity as soon as they hesitated. They could only close the car windows tightly, and soon the zombies came in like a flood, engulfing the car. Shenrong was half broken and had no choice but to enter the pharmacy first. She had to quickly find a way to get the medicine and leave, and she had to quickly save her teammates. Otherwise, teammates will only die. If the engine is not turned off, there will be more and more zombies. If the engine is turned off, the car will soon lose oxygen. Moreover, What should I do if the oil in the car burns out? In a hurry, she tried her best and finally cleared away the zombies in the pharmacy. She was also injured. It wasn't that he was bitten by a zombie, but that his abdomen hit the glass during the fight. But she couldn't control much. After finally finding the hemostatic gauze to wrap it up, she quickly started smashing the warehouse. The warehouse door was locked, and she broke it open for almost 10 minutes before finally breaking it open. At this time, her whole body seemed to be fished out of the water. She started looking for medicines, including those for high blood pressure, heart disease, and malaria, and put them all in her backpack, but she couldn't find any antibiotics. But she soon found a bag on the ground. When she opened it, she found that the bag was full of the medicine she wanted. Just as she was about to pour them into her bag, the bag strap was grabbed by a hand. From under the table behind him, a girl of about 20 years old, who was very beautiful but looked embarrassed, emerged. "This is my bag. My medicine. Give it back to me," she said. Shenrong was speechless. At this time, the world has long been out of order. Of course, whoever finds these things gets the credit. Seeing the cookie bags and mineral water bottles scattered on the ground, it was obvious that this girl had been here for a long time. So Shenrong understood that if she didn't come, she might starve to death here. Apart from the zombies, he actually saved her. "You give me something to eat, and I'll give you some medicine." The girl was obviously weak, yet very arrogant. Shenrong gave her a piece of bread. "You have to understand that I can actually snatch this pack of medicine and save a loaf of bread. You have to be grateful." Shenrong is a girl with 3 upright views. "I don't owe this girl anything." So she still poured all the medicine into her bag, but she still left a box of anti-inflammatory medicine for the girl. Then she turned and left. The girl yelled and cursed at Shenrong. The scolding was quite unpleasant. "Shut up. Stop arguing. I don't want to die yet." Shenrong was furious. There was no way to go through the back door, so she could only go through the front door. This girl was seeking death by shouting like this. So she hit the girl in front of her with a stick, smashing the bread she had just given out. The girl was startled, and when she saw the zombies killed all over the ground and the sticky red steel rod in Shenrong's hand, she finally shut up. Her eyes flashed with hatred, but she followed closely behind Shenrong, not forgetting to express her gratitude. "You robbed my medicine. If you are still a human being, you must take me with you." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 744. Probably because she was afraid that Shenrong wouldn't take her with him, the girl took the initiative to get close to him. "My name is Xiaobai, sister. What's your name?" "Sister, can you take me with you?" "Shut up if you don't want to die." Shenrong didn't like her. She didn't even give her name and wanted someone to save her life, but she didn't even have the sincerity. Shenrong looked down on such a person. But as long as she doesn't hold him back, Shenrong doesn't mind taking her out. Just take it out of the pharmacy, of course. Shenrong was still worried about her teammates in her heart, and her injured abdomen was in unbearable pain, so her words naturally didn't sound right on her lips, so she didn't see the hateful grinning face behind her at all. Outside the front door, there weren't many zombies, but there were more than a dozen. Even though Shenrong can deal with it, if there is any noise, other zombies will be quickly attracted. So she couldn't just rush out. And without transportation, she couldn't return to the community at all. The 2 cars in front of the door were covered with dust and had no keys, so Shenrong was in trouble for a while. Regardless, Shenrong still couldn't sit back and wait for death when he thought of his companions who were trapped by zombies in the back street. She opened the door gently, picked up a stone, and threw it at a car parked on the street. Fortunately, the car was equipped with an alarm, which made a loud siren sound. For a moment, all nearby zombies were attracted. Shenrong was just about to run to the other side, but he didn't think about it. The idiot behind him saw a well-equipped off-road vehicle passing by the end of the street, and waved his hands and shouted for help. When she shouted, the group of zombies that had just left turned around again. As soon as they saw the two of them alive, the dozen zombies immediately rushed back in excitement. This made Shenrong want to strangle the girl behind him to death. Idiot, she cursed and could only retreat to the pharmacy and close the door. Just as Shenrong was about to teach the girl a lesson, there was the sound of a car outside. It turned out that the off-road vehicle actually asked the girl to come over. Xiaobai immediately raised his neck, squeezed Shenrong away, ran to the window and waved to the car. She gave Shenrong a provocative look. "Who is the idiot?" She looked Shenrong up and down, and smiled scornfully. "It's normal to not understand your appearance. I'm so beautiful, which boy would give up on me?" She immediately shouted outside, "Brother, help me." The car was getting closer and closer. Shenrong sighed. "Hey, as expected, men are all vulgar, they only care about their looks. Have things like this happened less often in recent years? If I go to call my brother, which brother will stop? Is there any medicine in it?" came an anxious and hoarse male voice. The two girls looked at each other and understood that the reason why the visitor came was because they saw the sign of the pharmacy. "Yes. There are all kinds of medicines," the two of them said almost in unison. "The other party has a car and can take them away." "Shenrong, the medicine has been packed. Take us away and give the medicine to you." Soon, they heard a ringing sound outside. Through the window, they saw the zombies that had gathered in front of the door falling one by one. "My car is full, I can only get one more person in," came a male voice. "After you have discussed it, come up with the medicine." The car ran over two zombies lying on the ground and blocked the door directly. The car in front of me was indeed filled to the brim with people and things, and even if one person could squeeze in, it would be difficult. The last two people are completely impossible. Shenrong would not give up such an opportunity, but as soon as she opened the door of the pharmacy, the strap of her bag was caught. Xiaobai pulled her bag. "Sister, let me go. I am waiting for help at home. Even if I stay, I can survive with my own ability, but if I am left behind, I will die. Please, sister, come on. Save my life." Although Shenrong was sorry, she couldn't help but said, "I'm sorry, I have no obligation or responsibility to you. I also want to save people." She grabbed her bag. However, Xiaobai suddenly rushed to the car door and shouted to the man outside, "Brother, this woman is very bad. She would not regret dying. She robbed my medicine and wanted to kill me. It was too dangerous for my brother to take her away, so he took me away. I didn't want a single medicine and gave it all to him. And brother, my two brothers have already awakened their powers. If you send me home, my brother loves me and will definitely listen to your instructions and be your helper from now on. If my brother saves me, he will be my benefactor, and he can do whatever he asks me to do from now on." Shenrong saw her blinking her eyelids, and her ability to wink was as good as Deji's. Shenrong knew it was bad. She has no beauty or figure, and she is the kind of girl who doesn't make boys interested at all. Since she was a child, she practiced taekwondo, so she has a strong body. Since she grew up, she has not lost more than 100 pounds. In addition to inheriting the genes of her father's big frame and strong body, her weight has fluctuated around 120 since she entered junior high school. When I was under a lot of pressure in high school, I even reached 130. And because I am good at sports and like outdoor activities, my skin color has always been too healthy. In addition, she has an average appearance, so she has been ignored since childhood, and she has never been the kind of girl that boys have a crush on. So when such a choice presented itself, Shenrong knew it very well. If she's not pretty and doesn't know how to pretend, she won't be chosen. Sure enough, the man in the car was moved by Xiaobai and took the initiative to unlock the car door. The man's stern eyes came out, and the next second, he had a gun in his hand, pointing at Shenrong. "Hand over the bag. Then get out. Otherwise I'll waste a bullet." Shenrong was scared. But she can't give up. She must return to the community safely and lead people to rescue two trapped companions. She still had to take the medicine back. Many people were waiting for this packet of medicine. She can't die here, she still has to take care of her mother and wait for her father and grandparents to come home. So, without hesitation, she grabbed Xiaobai, who was about to step into the car. A zombie happened to poke its head over, baring its teeth to bite. Shenrong went out with a fist and a stick, directly smashing the zombie's head. Plasma stained her face, but she didn't even blink. "She is lying to you. She just told me that she is an only child and has no brother." Shenrong had no choice but to seize this opportunity, although she was sorry. She told a lie. Xiaobai was furious and humiliated and cursed her again. Shenrongs not only didn't look at her, but also threw her directly back into the pharmacy. Shenrong quickly lied again, "I'm very uncomfortable now. Have you seen my state? I'm awakening my powers. Or my healing powers." Shenrong took a gamble. The man was looking for medicine. It was obvious that he or someone around him was injured and needed medical treatment. If he doesn't get out of the car, I'm afraid there will be a lot of inconvenience. She guessed that what men needed most now was not women and other help, but healing power. So she told this lie. Sure enough, the muzzle of the gun in the man's hand suddenly went downwards. "Shenrong, if you take me away, my powers will be yours. But if you take such a cute girl away, it will be just another burden." In this kind of world, if her brother is so capable, how could he not come to save her? If they all have superpowers, they must have gone to fight the world, so why would they turn to you? Makes sense. The man lowered his gun. He observed Shenrong. This woman can fight and has sharp eyes. She is indeed much more valuable than the limp woman behind her. Moreover, her lips were white, beads of sweat hung on her forehead, her whole body looked like she had been fished out of water, and she was trembling from time to time. This was indeed something wrong. He probably wasn't lying to him, he was really awakening his powers. The temptation of healing powers is too great. In this world, medicines will become increasingly scarce. But it is impossible for people not to get sick, and in order to survive, they take risks every day, and injuries are commonplace. If you have this power, what else is there to fear? Are you really awakening your powers? Even if she awakened other powers and saved her, having such a teammate is much better than that pretty girl's empty promise. Shenrong nodded. Absolutely true. Then come up, this time, the man pointed at Shenrong. The little white girl yelled, threatened, and warned her, but the man never looked at her again. The man stepped on the accelerator. His car has been modified and has strong power. When he hits the accelerator, he directly knocks away all the zombies in front of him. Xiaobai screamed and cursed Shenrong, saying that he would definitely survive. She must get this blood debt back when the time comes. The revenge for robbing her of medicine, the revenge for robbing her car, the revenge for causing her to kill her, she will retaliate 100-fold. What Shenrong saw in the rearview mirror was a scene where a large number of zombies were attracted by Xiaobai and then rushed towards the drugstore. That lunatic Xiaobai only knew how to curse, but he didn't even lock the door. Shenrong watched helplessly as the door was burst open by the zombies. All Shenrong could do was to apologize silently in his heart. Xiaobai, with his unusual brain circuit, is destined not to live long in this kind of world. The man told Shenrong that his name was Shuefei and that his friend was injured and needed treatment. Shenrong nodded and said that he would definitely help when his powers awakened. She said, "Can you do me a favor first? My friend is trapped nearby by zombies. Can you help lead the zombies away so that my friend's car can come out? But this Shuefei is quite indifferent, I have already saved you once. Next, you should return my favor instead of asking for more. What if you cross the river and burn the bridge? So, you save my friend first, and then I will save you friend." Shenrong sighed. In the last days, there is no longer any trust between people. Shuefei's friends were two young guys. They were both seriously injured and now unconscious. "Then you take me home first. My home is safe and your friend can be treated there now." Shenrong reported his address. She could only go back to the community first, and then find some uncles to rescue people. Shenrong gave Shuefei and his two friends anti-inflammatory medicine, and then used powdered gauze to briefly bandage their wounds. I'll squint for a while. Shenrong found that blood was also oozing from his abdomen. She herself couldn't support it anymore. Fortunately, the car already smelled of blood, so Shuefei didn't notice her lying. Shenrong secretly took anti-inflammatory drugs. After being pointed out the way, he couldn't hold on and fell into a drowsy sleep. When she arrived at the community, after she showed up, the door of the community was opened. Then I saw a group of people guarding the goal, and another group of people came to greet them. Shenrong was busy explaining to everyone and didn't see how surprised Shuefei was when he saw this clean and orderly community. Compared to the messy world outside, this place is like a paradise. The people here are all clean, in good condition, and their clothes are bright. Unlike them, they have stench, blood stains on their bodies, and their teeth have not been brushed for almost 10 days. My power awakening hasn't been completed yet. Shenrong could only continue to lie. When I get better, I'll heal your friend immediately. Then we will live here temporarily. Shuefei didn't want to leave such a good place. The residents of the community could only accommodate these three people. They had guns and saved Shenrong, so it was really difficult to drive them away. Residents were busy arranging people to rescue their companions who were trapped at the pharmacy intersection, and Shuefei donated his car. Soon Shenrong knew that the reason why Shuefei didn't get out of the car to grab medicine when he was in the drugstore was because he was also injured. Shenrong couldn't hold on and fell asleep again after taking the medicine. Shuefei had his first hot and full meal since the outbreak of the apocalypse. He ate 3 bowls of rice and couldn't believe that these people also gave him stir-fried vegetables, egg custard, and steamed bacon. Damn, what kind of fairy life did these people live? Soon, the car that went out to look for someone came back. Fortunately, thanks to Shuefei's car, he pressed the loudspeaker and attracted the zombies away. After crushing them all the way, after a lot of effort, they successfully rescued the other 2 people trapped in the car. Here, Shenrong and the others were happy to survive the disaster, but suddenly fireworks exploded in the sky. "It belongs to Shuefeiren. What you do?" "Oh, I still have a few friends nearby. I rescued you, and a few of my friends are here to stay for a few days. You won't mind, right?" What do people dare to say? Shuefei had a gun in his hand and a large bag of weapons behind him. Shuefei and his 2 injured friends used antibiotics but had no effect, and they were eager to wait for supernatural treatment. But Shenrong could only pretend to be sick and pretend that his powers were still in the process of awakening. The next night, after Shuefei set off another fireworks, one of his friends fell into a coma with a high fever and died. And his friends outside were guided by the fireworks and arrived that night. Unexpectedly, the so-called several friends actually had 4 cars and more than a dozen people. Shenrong and the others didn't want to open the door, but there were people pointing guns at them both inside and outside the iron door. What can be done? Just put it in. Shenrong vaguely knew that the trouble was getting bigger and bigger. Really? Some of the people who came here actually had clairvoyance powers. He pointed his finger and said solemnly, "She has no powers at all." Lie. Shuefei's expression changed immediately. Shenrong was caught by the gang. Everyone in the community begged to discuss and let Shenrong go, and their community would make arrangements for everyone. The discussion here has not been completed yet someone else comes. It turned out that because of the fireworks, another active group of people in the city were attracted. They thought there would be supplies here and came here. There are more of them. There are more cars too. There are more than a dozen cars and more than 40 people. When they saw the clean and tidy residents in the community, they guessed that the place was full of supplies and strongly requested to enter. In the last days, we should help each other. Of course the result was rejection. But their leader bluntly said that if they didn't let him go, they would use a car to force the door, use people to climb over the wall and attack the door, or blow up the wall and simply destroy the shelter. This group of people was so ruthless that they did whatever they were told and started smashing the walls with their tools. There is still no way but to let them in temporarily. The new team quickly agreed with Shuefei and the others that everyone would be under the same roof and stay together to fight the virus. But they have forgotten the original owners of this community. And Shenrong was also slapped in the face by someone. It was the Xiaobai who was supposed to be dead. After she was surrounded by zombies, she awakened her powers when her life and death were at stake. God treated her favorably and gave her spatial powers. She hid in the space and survived successfully. And her brother also went back to the pharmacy to save her. With the space power in hand, she immediately became the star of her brother's team. "Leave her to me. Otherwise we will level this place and kill you," Xiaobai said this to Shuefei. "Brother, we still have some accounts to settle." Song Tao, the leader of Xiaobai's team, was so fascinated by this beauty that with a wave of his hand, a group of people surrounded Shuefei's group. "You can hand me over." Shenrong knew that she was finished. She could only beg Shuefei, "Seeing that we are taking you in, seeing that there are so many old, weak, women and children here, seeing that they are all ordinary people, please treat them kindly." Them. Shenrong was pushed out. Xiaobai smiled ferociously and slapped her several times, and then had Shenrong thrown out of the iron gate. "I want to see you turn into a zombie, and then I will tease you every day. I said, I will avenge you 100-fold. Sensing the presence of living people, zombies from a distance began to come over. Shen's mother came to see the scene and begged everyone to let Shenrong in. But Xiaobai is so perverted. Since she is the mother of that snake and scorpion woman, she will definitely not be much better, so Shen's mother was also thrown out. Shenrong almost went crazy. What does this have to do with mom? She protected her mother behind her and fought with the zombies in front of her. Xiaobai sat in the front of the car watching the show and laughing. Shenrong begged Shuefei to rescue his mother. But Shuefei said coldly, "Who told you to lie to me in the first place? My brother was also killed by you. You deserve it." Shenrong and his mother were struggling so hard that the neighbors couldn't stand it. If they want to come out for rescue, they will inevitably collide with those outsiders. And those outsiders have made a deal. There are enough supplies here, and they can hold it together for at least a year and a half. Why not? On the contrary, besides wasting food rations, what value do these old, weak, sick, and disabled people have? You know, for every less person, there is more food. So, they already had a plan in mind. The conflict came just in time, giving them a step to put their conscience. Now that a fight has begun, it is only right that land is king. Then, a gunshot rang out. On the other side, Shenrong finally lifted his mother up a tree, but was bitten by a zombie on the back. When she turned back, she happened to see Uncle Hua from the community guard falling to the ground after being shot. Then a group of grandparents were pushed out of the iron gate, followed closely by other neighbors. All the neighborhood friends she spent time with all day and night have lost their homes. They didn't even get a car, they couldn't survive. At that moment, the world collapsed. Shenrong was thrown to the ground by a group of zombies. She didn't feel physical pain, she just felt heartbroken. So many good people died like this. Looking at the gray sky, she felt so guilty. She felt that it was all because of herself that she had caused the current situation. She hated herself so much. Ever since I was little, I have always been so useless. She thought she had done nothing wrong, but this was the result. Why couldn't she find a better path? Even if she had to do it all over again, she wouldn't know what to do. She did lie, so she died on her own. But what did others do wrong? This is hundreds of lives. So she hated those people even more. Since those people are different from zombies, how can they not have any humanity at all? Who is the zombie? Without any conscience, they are worse than zombies. A big chapter of 5,200 words. I love you all. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 745. When Tao Ran came, it was the time when Shenrong had already told the lie and successfully got into Showbiz. She quickly absorbed the plot in a daze. Her wound hurt too much. At this moment, she really admired Shenrong. In order for Showbiz to believe that her abnormality was due to awakening powers, she must not let him know that she was injured. Therefore, several thick layers of gauze were placed on her abdomen to prevent the blood from completely seeping out. Her consciousness was confused from time to time in the car. In order to prevent herself from completely fainting, her arms had already been pinched. And she was so cruel to herself, but in the final analysis, it was not for herself at all. Good girl. What a pity. Tao Ran felt so sorry for her. It can be said that she is the most distressed person in the world that Tao Ran has experienced so far. Because what Shenrong wants is not to survive, nor is it for revenge. Her wishes had nothing to do with herself. Her request was to try her best to keep her home and her relatives and friends, at least not to let everyone leave in such a vain and innocent manner. To this end, what she can dedicate is not a drop or two of her hard work, but everything she has. She would rather disappear and die completely than make up for everyone. Although Tao Ran wanted to get a lot of reward, he didn't want this to happen. She only realized after receiving the plot that Shenrong had such low self-esteem. Her grades haven't been particularly top-notch since she was a child, her appearance is not outstanding, her figure is not good, she is invisible in the class, and she has no sense of presence in front of the teacher. This is true from elementary school to university. When I entered the society, I submitted my resume but encountered obstacles everywhere. Some bosses or personnel were harsh, critical, and unpleasant. She is the most ordinary child. She has to wait until she graduates from college and has her parents worry about her work and marriage. She will never live like someone else's child. Even in the apocalypse, she was an existence that was forgotten by God and could not even obtain a useless superpower. Shenrong could accept his own mediocrity, but he couldn't accept that even though he tried his best, he still harmed others because of his incompetence. Tao Ran refuted her directly. Why die? Why feel guilty? Why take it all to make up for it? Why do you think it's all your fault? She is right. Her actions and her lie were both the best choices under the circumstances. She doesn't need to carry so much. So what if it's ordinary? Ordinary people are human beings, so why do we have to give up actively or passively? What qualifications do those favored by God have to decide the life, death, or fate of ordinary people? Moreover, how can ordinary be incompetent? She is strong, firm, and tenacious. What a precious quality, these three are enough to kill most people in an instant. She is also smart, responsible, and has a bottom line. She stands up for herself at critical moments and does not back down. She has the courage to take on responsibility and sacrifice. She is simply shining. Okay. I believe that ordinary people can walk out of a beautiful road. And the real culprits are the ones who need to be punished. Why do you feel inferior? You are much better than the garbage that has been exposed under the test of human nature. We who have faith in our hearts, will be the ones who survive in the end. Only those who are worthy of the difference between us, animals, and zombies. I don't want everything you have, I want you to take good care of it. So what if you are not favored by God? There is no power or help, but we are ordinary but extraordinary, and we will always find a way. You should personally protect the people you cherish. Watch it. Taoran opened his eyes slightly and immediately noticed Shuefei driving in front of him through the rear-view mirror. This man has a very strong spirit. What makes Taoran depressed is that Shenrong's tragedy occurred within 2 days. Due to the sudden incident, the amount of information available is still too little. Taoran must find a way to know himself and the enemy. Not only for revenge, but also for better self-protection. For example, that beautiful girl named by her name and identity. What kind of monsters are her biological brothers and ordinary brothers? If it is true that all members of the family have special powers, what kind of special powers do they have? For example, what kind of existence is Songtao, the leader of that team? Their team is so strong and they have so many weapons, but where do they come from? Are there any accomplices? Songtao and Shuefei hit it off right away. Is it just a temporary relationship of interest? Another example is this Shuefei. Where did they get their weapons? Moreover, Shenrong didn't know the reason why his 2 friends were unconscious, but Taoran, who had accepted the memory, had already concluded that the wounds were all gunshot wounds. They had a fight with someone not long ago. Still suffered heavy losses. This shows that there are at least 3 groups of people in the entire city who have weapons and equipment. This city is already in chaos. In addition, she still doesn't know much about Shuefei. The bullet in the wound of their 2 friends was obviously taken out by Shuefei. What a cruel person. After he arrived at the community, Shenrong and the others had not thought of getting rid of him as a hidden danger. But he was so injured that he didn't even close his eyelids until the 2nd night, and he was highly focused. He is no ordinary person. When his friends arrived, they all treated him with respect, which showed that his identity or abilities were extraordinary. He must have some special powers, but I don't know what kind. In view of this, Taoran did not dare to act rashly. Now that Shenrong's physical condition is bad, she may not be Shuefei's opponent. If you can't bear to mess up the big plan, let's take advantage of the car first. Taoran closed his eyes. Haha, the end of the world? The same. Zombies only have instincts and no consciousness. Are they scary? Horrible. But it is preventable. It's the same in any world. The most terrifying thing in the world is the human heart. The most difficult thing to guard against is the human heart that cannot stand the test. So the biggest reason Shenrong and the others ended up like that was because they were guarding against zombies, not people. Taoran sighed inwardly. Zombies are easy to guard against, but humans can be hard to guard against if they are not careful. So from this point of view, even if there were not the group of plague gods that Shenrong had the misfortune to encounter, in fact, it would be sooner or later that their well-supplied and well-defended community would fall into the hands of others. This time, there were too many people behind him, hundreds of lives, and most of them were old, weak, women and children. It was really difficult to save such a big stall. So when Shenrong asked, he only mentioned try to preserve it as much as possible. However, Taoran has always faced difficulties. Every good person's life is worth cherishing. She won't give up. She had to make a good calculation. What Taoran can do now is to take care of his body quickly. She sensed it, and unfortunately, there was no aura in this world. Therefore, it is impossible for her to use the wood spirit to introduce air into the body to repair the wounds like she did on the garbage planet. The old method is to quickly use the inner strength and mental skills, and use chi to heal the wound first. After feeling it, fortunately, Shenrong's physical fitness is quite good, and he can get twice the result with half the effort in practicing martial arts in the future. In addition, her years of taekwondo skills have given her quick reactions, and her own mental strength is also good. As long as you exercise diligently, you will not be worse than those who cheat. Thank you all for your support, thank you for your monthly votes, thank you Brother Long, Xiaoao. My book Friend's Tale number is 22,576, my book Friend's Tale number is 22,955, and I love you so much.